Thank you guys for coming today. So today we'll be going over what web scraping is, and basically I'll be giving you guys a step-by-step tutorial on how to make a bot in Python that can scrape job listings for you automatically. I think this is great for everyone who's especially trying to get to learn Python, and then especially if you want to start working on your own personal projects. I think this would be a great inspiration for you to branch out and try different kinds of projects. So I have a short PowerPoint here to share on what web scraping is. Share my screen. All right, do you guys see that? Okay. So web scraping is basically just the process of extracting information from the internet, or specifically like web pages. And typically,
the presenter view? Sorry to interrupt you, but do you want to go to the presenter view?
My bad.
Mic off. Mic on.
All right. So yeah, web scraping is basically the process of extracting information from the internet, and it's basically like an automated process. So I call it a bot because it scrapes all the listings for me automatically. I don't really have to do anything for it to work. And basically the way it works is that the contents of a web page are parsed, reformatted, and then is basically copied into a spreadsheet, which is exactly what we're doing today. All the job listings we extract from the web pages will be put into an Excel file that you guys can easily access and directly apply to each internship that's there. And so you guys might be wondering why we scrape the web in the first place. So basically for this meeting, I got the inspiration from it because I've been applying to a lot of internships, and I waste a lot of time just looking for them and scrolling through like LinkedIn or like other job websites, and I waste a lot of time like clicking, scrolling, and like searching for internships. So I thought this would be a perfect application of web scraping because it just speeds up that whole process. So instead of looking at job sites every day, you can automate the repetitive parts of your job search with this program. And with the code in this meeting, you can use it as many times as you want, and it can be useful from any time, and then you guys can just download the code. I'll show you guys how to download it and run it at the end of the meeting, and then you guys can use it whenever. And for this meeting, I want you guys to realize like there's so many different applications of web scraping that hopefully you guys take from this meeting and apply like the code or like the logic involved for other applications. So for example, price monitoring. If you sell products on like Amazon and you want to monitor like your competitors' prices, you can easily do that with web scraping. And obviously it automates that whole process. And the same thing with like financial data. I actually use web scraping for this myself. I just extract information on like stocks and other things and other investments on the web, and then just try to make like useful applications out of it. And the same thing goes for like real estate listings, news monitoring, marketing. It can be used for all kinds of things. So now we will be jumping straight to the code. But before that, I want to show you guys what the code actually does. So I'll just wait. Do you see my terminal?
Yeah, you're only showing PowerPoint right now, so show your
Okay, so all right, you see it now?
There you go.
Okay, so I'm about to just run the program right here. Jobscraper.py. And basically what it does, you enter the job position you're searching for. So I'm searching for a software engineer intern. And what it does, so I found 81 jobs, and it went through 6 pages of data. So what it did, I have to share this too. So I share the Excel file once it loads up. Basically what it did, it extracted 81 software engineering internship listings from Indeed. Yeah, it's right here. You see it now? All right, so basically this is what it did. It extracted all those internship listings and I put it in this Excel file. Basically what you can do, you can just go through all of this, and then you can like apply to each one with the direct link to apply for each. So But to show you guys, I shared. Okay, let me share this. All right, so I should be sharing Chrome right now. So as you can see, that URL that I copy pasted, it took me directly to the website in which I can apply for the internship. So that's basically what we're going to be working on today. And if you can see, like, we extract the title, the company, the rating, the location, a summary of what you do in the internship. So this is an example, and then the direct link to apply. And that's just to keep in mind what we'll be like extracting from the web pages. So I guess now we can get started. And just to keep in mind, in order to run this program, you guys will need to install 2 libraries in Python using pip. And I didn't want you guys to install right now because you guys can encounter a lot of errors. So I saved that towards the end of the meeting. You guys can stay after and ask me questions. I'll be answering all of them. All right, so the way in which we're going to be working on this program is by using this program called Jupyter Notebook, and this might be very unfamiliar to you guys, but it's basically just another program to run Python in. And what it does, it allows you to run blocks of code instead of an entire program running at once. So for example, I can do print hello world and then run that block right there, and it prints me hello world. So if I do whatever I do in this cell, like if I write name equals Faizan, age equals 19, this has nothing to do with this block of code. Like I can independently run this, so name, age, and then it prints me whatever is within that block. But the good thing about this is that it saves all the variables that you can use in future blocks, so I can access the name and age variables within this block as well. So I can do something like, I don't know, age times 2 or something, and then it prints me 38. So this is basically how it works. You just execute sections of code instead of an entire program, and it allows me to like easily show you guys like the exact part of code I'm working on, and it helps you debug your code and find any errors way easier than running an entire program by itself. So we're going to get ahead and get started with the actual code. So I'll just delete all this. So what we need to do first is import 4 libraries in Python. And another thing with Jupyter Notebook is that you can have very helpful comments in your code. And this is something else you guys can do. It's called Markdown. It just allows you to label sections of code, so it's easy to follow once you have a lot of code. It just makes it easy to follow. So what we're doing now is just importing libraries. Okay, so we have 4 we need to import. So import requests. And so request is basically a library in Python that allows you to send HTTP requests to a web page. And what that allows you to do is just access the web page's contents. And that request, along with this other library called Beautiful Soup, which is a very interesting name, it allows you to scrape information from the web page. So it allows you to just extract all the information, and you can easily just play around with the information and do basically whatever you want with it. So from BS import, this is from BS4 import Beautiful Soup. And so we have 2 more libraries from iter tools import cycle. And you guys don't really have to worry about these. It's just some things that we need for this is from iter tools. Okay, so that should work. All right, so guys, don't worry about those import statements. And also, for the next part we're about to do, just a background on it, we need to extract proxies to use. So basically, the reason we're doing this is because when I ran the program, like when it found 81 jobs from Indeed, it's basically sending a lot of requests to Indeed, and if you send too many requests in a short amount of time, what might happen is that they might ban your IP because you're sending too many requests to their webpage. So the easy way to get around this is by scraping proxies to use. So proxies are basically, you can think of them as just other IP addresses that you can use, so it doesn't look like one individual person is sending them. So it just allows you to bypass that bypass getting banned from Indeed, for example. So the way we're going to do that, I just have the code here ready. You guys don't really have to worry about it. I can explain some of it. So basically what this code is doing, this is a function to get me the IP addresses. And all it's doing is going to this web page and it's extracting the proxies from it. So it's just giving me different IP addresses to use. And I can just run this here and show you guys what I mean. So Proxy Pool, this variable here, is basically getting me one IP address from a whole pool of IP addresses stored within PXS. So every time I run this, I gotta use this right here. So every time I run this, it's gonna give me a different IP address. So as you can see, I'm running it and it's changing every time. And this is good because in the next section of code, we're gonna be using this proxy pool variable to pass an IP address when we're calling the request module. So it's a different IP address that's being used for each request. So that prevents you from getting banned, from your IP getting banned. So the next thing after this, for this specific meeting, we're going to be looking at software engineering internships. So software engineer intern. And this is the URL we're going to be using to scrape. So I chose, the software engineering intern, that's what I'm basically applying to now. So before you web scrape any website, you have to just take a look at it and analyze what you're trying to do. So as you guys saw from the Excel sheet, we extract the title, the company rating, the location, a summary, and the job link to apply for that position. So basically, you can see how the website is structured here. You have the title, the company, the rating, location, and a summary right here. So you guys just have to keep in mind, that's how it's formatted. So from that, we're going to be using this URL. So we're going to be starting off with this URL to scrape listings from. And from there, we can add on to the code for it to extract job listings from any URL. So we're going to start off. So now I'm just going to create a variable named URL and then set it equal to the URL that we're going to be scraping listings from. So you can just copy it from here.
So if someone wanted to do it for cyber, they could use the cyber URL too?
Oh yeah, it can, for this specific meeting, I'm using this URL, but every website is different. So web scraping, it really depends on the specific website. If you're going to scrape LinkedIn, for example, it's going to be pretty different than Indeed, because I chose Indeed because it's pretty much simpler than other websites. So all the data is just right here. It's static. It's not it doesn't change, you know what I mean? It all depends on how the website is structured, and we're going to be you guys are going to know what I mean by how the website is being structured in a little bit. So once we have the URL, we have to create a variable named page. And this is how we're going to start extracting information from that URL. So page equals request.get URL. And then this is where we use the proxies. So proxies equals, and guys, don't worry too much about the code here. It's just a code that's given to you. If you guys look up any web scraping tutorial, this is just the base code they'll give you. So it's not that significant to understand, but just know this is how it works. So let's look at URL proxies. Okay. So this is how we get access to the web page. And in order to access all the information within that page, we can create a variable named soup and make it equal to beautiful soup. And then you pass it in the parameters page.text. So guys, don't worry about this either. It's just code that's given to you. HTML.parser. All right, so you can just run this and everything should be fine. So now what we have is that we have the URL saved, and then now we have access to the information in the URL. This software engineer. Okay, so right now you have access to the web page, but how do we extract the things that we want from this page? So obviously, like I said, we want to extract the title, the company, and all that. So you guys might be wondering how we go about doing that. So in order to understand like how web scraping works, you have to understand how a website is structured. Basically, looking at their HTML code, and a great way to do that is by, if you're on Google Chrome, you right click and then click inspect, and this shows up all the code for the website. So you guys can just play around here, like look at it. But once you highlight any kind of text or something on the web page, once you highlight some kind of text on the page and press and click inspect, it'll take you to that section of code in which that text is displayed. So as you can see here, this is where software engineer intern is in the code. So this is where it's being displayed. And Vince can explain to you guys how basically HTML works in this web page.
Okay. Thanks, Faizan. So exactly like what Faizan was saying, the whole entire objective of what we're trying to do today is web scrape, right? We're trying to scrape up data from the web. Well, how are we supposed to do that? Faizan's showing us that there's a lot of good information on web pages that we can use, and that's useful to us, kind of like getting job listings for what he's doing. So the basic idea of what we're going to be doing is taking the data that's on a website and then getting it for our program. Why Faizan mentioned HTML is because while there's a lot of different programming languages and technologies that work together to make a website function, the HTML is the most bare bones part to a website. It's the part of the website that provides all the information and the structure for the website. So that's actually all the code that we pulled up when we pressed inspect. Inspect is like a built-in tool for Google Chrome, which is what Faizan's using. And Firefox has a similar thing. So what that allows us to do is that allows us to get the HTML code for the entire web page that we're on. Once we have the HTML code, we could start to look around, and that's what Faizan said by the highlighting. We could start to look around through the code and figuring out where the information is that we want to use. Once we have the location for that information, we now know what data to target in our program. So the entire basic idea is once we can locate in the HTML code where the data is that we want, we can use that location inside of the web scraping program to actually get that data from the website into whatever format that we want.
Okay, so going off what Vince said, the great thing about inspect element is that when you highlight a section of code, it actually shows you where in the web page that code is basically like referring to. So once I highlight this section of code right here, it's highlighting this whole basically card, which represents the internship listing. So that means once I have all the code for the website, if I want to get this internship listing, I want to go to this section of code represented by this div tag. So divs in HTML are just like a container for sections of web pages, and basically this div container contains all the information we want for this one job listing. So as we scroll up the inspect element code, as you scroll up the code for this web page here, you can just see like the different sections we have here. And once you click on these little arrows, it just expands that section of code. So when I was preparing this meeting, I had to basically find out what container are all the job listings in. And then I found this container right here. So the TD ID equals results column. So this container right here, this TD tag, contains all the internship listings on this web page. So that means first I have to get access to this container, this TD ID right here. And from there, I can access each individual listing, internship listing, with this div tag. So what that means in code is by first creating a variable named jobs and then setting it equal to soup the find. And then, like I said, we have to look for this TD tag with the ID results column. So all I have to do is soup.find and then look for the ID, which equals results col. So if you guys want an idea of what this jobs variable holds, I can just do this. So this is everything that's stored inside this jobs variable. So obviously you can see it's very messy, but the cool thing is all the information we want to extract from this web page is within this jobs variable. And basically it's our job to extract the valuable information from this variable to put in the Excel sheet, like I said. So this is obviously a ton of data. We basically want to filter it down to extract exactly what we need. So now that we have all the jobs, if we want to access individual jobs, individual internship listings, we have to do something along the lines of this. So jobs, so I guess you can say like in, and naming in Python is pretty important. I want to be very clear and concise, so I can just call this like job elements. So like job elements equals job stuff find all. And then, like I said before, each individual job listing is represented by this div tag right here, and the class is job search dash serve job card. Now the naming of that, all we have to do is copy this class right here, and this does require like basic HTML knowledge, and you guys don't have to worry too much about that now. Like quite honestly, it's a lot of trial and error. As I was preparing this meeting, I had to try out different divs and different classes to find out which one works. But obviously I found out that this is the one because mainly you can see once I click on this section of code, this whole internship listing lights up. So be looking for that div tag, and the class that represents it is equal to what I copied, so job search dash serve job card. Now when I print this, you guys can see what is stored inside this variable. So it's also a bunch of kind of nonsense, you know, but the thing is everything you want is still inside this one variable, and you can see how long the code is. It's a lot of information here, and our job is to just extract the valuable information. So what we have to do is filter it down even more, and the way we can do that is by looping through the list. So for job in job, actually we gotta name this something different. So for description job. So what this means is that, or what I'm about to do is go through each individual element in the job elements list to extract information for each individual internship listing. So before I do that, I want to show you guys what actually prints out from here. Actually, it's not that much different because I'm printing each element in the list one by one, and that doesn't really help me out at all. So what we have to do is actually, when I was preparing this meeting, this is what I had to do. So I want to show you guys like the actual process involved in web scraping. So what I had to do is look for, well, first you have to know what you're looking for, right? So I'm looking to extract the title of the internship. So 2020 software engineer intern. It might be something different here or no. So what you guys will see is the title of the internship is actually right here. So you guys might be wondering, how do I actually get that? How do I extract that title from this huge block of code? Well, what we can do is, and again, this requires some basic HTML knowledge. And don't worry if you don't know HTML that well. In the future, I'm kind of alluding to this. We're actually going to be doing a semester-long project where we build a website from scratch. And I don't know, Vince, do you want to talk about that right now?
I can talk about that after you're finished, but yeah, just
Okay.
like how he mentioned, that's a good point. Next week we're going to be starting the semester-long project, and a big part of that, obviously, working on a website is going to be learning how to do HTML from the bottom up. So if that's something you're interested in, whether it be to use for something like this or just to build a website, that'll be something that's covered.
Okay, right. So to get this title here, right, the job listing title, what we have to do is, well, first we have to make a variable named title and set it equal to, we have to basically find where in the code this title is placed in. So the way we do that is description.find, and if you guys notice, it's within this h2 tag right here. And if you guys know, in HTML, h2 represents a header tag. So this title is actually within that header tag, and we can extract it from there. So h2.find, or description.find h2, and the class that represents it is title. Okay, so now you guys can see I filtered the code down more, but it's still not what exactly I want. But if you guys take a close look at the code, I'm getting closer to what I want. So I want to extract only this part right here, right? Software engineering intern, software engineering intern, software engineering intern. So you guys can see, once you actually look at the code, these pieces you want are actually there. And this is just a Python trick. This is why I really prefer Python. It makes everything so simple. Web scraping in Java is much more difficult than this. The way I can extract just this from this huge block of code is just by doing .text. And you guys can see how much that filtered everything down. So now I have all the job titles. But you can see it's kind of printing it, like there's a lot of empty space there, which I want to get rid of. And I don't really want to include the word new within the title. This is just personal preference. I would rather go without it. So to get rid of the empty space and the word new, it's very easy in Python. All you have to do is do title equals title dot replace. And to get rid of the word new, all we have to do is pass in the parameters the word we want to replace and what we want to replace it with. So now if I print title, you're gonna notice. Oh,
Sorry.
you're gonna notice that the word new is no longer going to be printed. So that's what it just did. New isn't appearing anymore. And if I want to get rid of the white space, this is another trick. All I have to do is do .replace again. And then the white space is actually represented by \n, which represents, like, if you're just pressing like enter, like, to get rid of that, all we have to do is replace that with the empty space. And that's gonna get rid of all the unnecessary space that is within the title. So as you can see, I have all the titles for the internships right here. So now that we have that, we want to get the company now. So for example, like Bloomberg, like Better Mortgage Corporation. So the way we get that is it's basically the same process for everything we want to extract. So company equals, actually before we do that, the way I had to go about doing it was by, again, printing description, because again, within this description variable, this description variable contains everything for that internship listing. So everything that I want to extract is within this description variable, And obviously this title, what it did is filter out all the unnecessary things, but everything else is still within that. So once you take a close look at the code, you can see that the company name is going to be here somewhere. So obviously you have this span tag class equals company. So that should mean the company name should be within this tag right here. So if you look closely, we see this company. I don't really know how to pronounce that, but you can see that's a company right here. So that's the company name. It's within this span tag. So all we have to do is basically the same thing. We have to make a variable, name company, and make it equal to description.find. And then we have to put in the tag that we're looking for. In this case, the tag is span. And then the class we're looking for is company. We have to put this in quotes. And then, I spelled this wrong. So now if I print company, as you'll notice, this is the unfiltered version. So all I have to do again is, because the company name I want is here, but I want to get rid of everything else, all I have to do is do .text. And then this is how I get the company names. But as you can see, there's a lot of unnecessary space that's been taken up. And again, we can replace that by doing company equals company dot replace. And then the same thing as last time. We want to replace the unnecessary space with just empty quotes. And as you can see, that took away all the unnecessary space. And so now we have the title of each listing and the company for each listing. So the way you can print both is by just separating them with a comma. So just to recap what we're doing, we took this URL, which is right here, and now we have the name of each listing and the company name for each listing. So making progress here. Okay, so now the rest of the things we want is the rating of the company, the location, the summary, and then a link to apply for that internship. And for each one of them, it's the same process again. So rating, well, before that, I want to show you guys the exact process I took when I was making this. So in order to find so we're looking for the rating now. So to do that, we just have to look within the code and find where it is. So, and again, like this might take some time. Like it took me some time to find out where everything is. So I'm guessing, so it's right here actually. So span class ratings content 4.0. And if I look, so I think it's representing this one. So this company is rated 4.0 out of 5, I guess. So we want to extract that from the span type. So the way we can do that is by, again, the same thing. Rating equals description of find span, because it's within that span tag, and then the 4.0 is obviously within that. So the class we're looking for now is ratings content. Span class equals ratings content, and then just do .text again, and then let's see what it prints. Okay, so I actually wanted to have this error on purpose to show you guys, like, a big part of web scraping is debugging and finding out how to fix errors. So I just want to stress on how you should interpret runtime errors when they happen. So what it's telling me now is none type object has no attribute text. So what that means is that I'm trying to extract the text out of this rating variable, but there's actually nothing within that rating variable. Like you can't extract text out of nothing. So, and it's telling me the error is on line 9. So what that means, or actually this is pretty dependent on what you're trying to do. Not every company here is going to have a rating. So as you can see here, Better Mortgage Corporation has no company rating, but you can see this company has a rating, Bloomberg has a rating. So the easy way we can get around this is by just doing something in Python called a try except catch. So basically what it is that it's just an easy way to catch errors that might occur at any time. So the way we can do that is by doing try, and then note the indentation here, which is very important. When you do try, you have to put a colon afterwards, and then the next line after that has to be indented. And then, so this is going to stay the same. So basically you can think of this as, if the company has a rating, I want to basically get the rating. And if they don't have a rating, I'm basically just going to set rating equal to just a dash. This is up to you, personal preference, what do you want to put here. I just put a dash. So now when we run it, you're going to notice there's no more errors. It's just going to be about the ratings and then dashes whenever there's no rating. And just like before, there's a lot of empty space I want to get rid of. And to do that, get rid of them again. It's the same thing. Rating dot replace. Okay, so now to recap, we have the title of the listing, the company, and the rating. All right, so you guys see that there, software engineering intern, the company, and the rating. So now we have just 3 more things to extract from this web page. The next thing is the location of the company. So once again, I'm going to comment this out, and then I want to print the description again. So it's just a matter of scrolling through this code and finding where the location can be. So turns out you just gotta look for it. Might take some time. So I can see the location, New York, is within the span tag. Again, span class equals location, and location is within that span tag. So just like before, location equals description dot find. The tag we're looking for is span, and the class we're looking for is location. And then let's just print this out. Print location. So obviously we have the location within each one of these, everything that printed, but we want to get only the text out of it. And I also wanted to get this error to show you guys what just happened. So again, none type object has no attribute text. What that means is that I'm trying to extract text out of something that doesn't have anything inside it. So just for future reference, if you guys get this error, try to look at the website and try and figure out why it might be doing that. So once again, a company might not have a rating, and it also might not have a listed location. And I'm not sure if I can find that here, but some of them might not have a location listed. That's just something that is specific to Indeed, I guess, or whatever website. But again, the way we can get around it is by using try and except. So try location equals that, and then except. So if there's no location, I want to set location equal to just a dash. And then if we run it now, we're going to notice we have no more errors, and you can see right there. So we have the location. So recap. So now we have the title, the company, the rating, and the location all right there. So there's two more things left for this. You have to get the summary of basically the responsibilities, or like what you're going to be doing for that internship. And the way you can do that is by, again, let me just uncomment this, and then once again just look for the section in code that contains the summary. Now this one, it's just a matter of looking. So I just got the location from there. So by looking down, we can see div class equals summary. So it should be within here somewhere. So we can see right here, participate in all parts of the software development cycle. So this right here is a summary of what you're going to be doing. So it's within this div tag with the class, and the class is summary. So just like before, summary equals description.find. The class is div, or the tag is div, and the class we're looking for is, what is this, summary. And then once again, we want to get just the text from it. Summary. Forgot the equal sign. Okay, so now we have the summary of what each internship or job, or what are you going to be doing there. So we have that, and let's just get rid of the unnecessary space again. So the way you can do that, you go to summary dot replace space \n here. So yeah, we got rid of all that space, and now basically almost done. We have one more thing to extract, but just to recap, so now we have, and then let's just, okay, so each block of text here represents one internship listing. So software engineer intern, this is the company, the rating, the location, and a summary. Okay, if you guys have any questions, like, feel free to ask. Vince, how do you think I'm doing on pacing? Is it a bit too fast?
I would say you have like another 20 minutes. You're absolutely fine.
Okay. So we don't have much left. So the last thing we want to get from this web page is the link to apply for each internship. Now this one was a bit difficult when I was trying to set up the meeting, but let's just see what we can do. So print. So again, I'm looking for the URL to each internship, and once again, you have to just look through the code and try to find where it could be. Now for this one, I don't think it'll be pretty difficult for you to just find the link within the code here. So what helped me when I was preparing for this meeting, or writing the code for this meeting, you had to go back and use inspect element to see how I can extract the URL. So what we can see is that, you guys see what I just did? So this link right here is what I need. So indeed.com/ and then all that. So what you guys can do is look for this link within the code. So what I can actually do is, so I can do indeed.com/ what we can do is search / okay, I don't think that's going to work, but basically the link will be somewhere here. It's just sometimes it might be hard to find, but you guys can do, okay, so somewhere around here. So this is a big part of web scraping. Like the things you want will be pretty hard to find sometimes, and just because I don't want to spend too much time trying to show you guys where to find the URL, I'm just going to show you guys the code to do it. So I'm naming a variable called raw link, and this is just my naming preference. This this is going to represent the actual link, but it's something I'll be using to filter it down to get the exact link. So description.find. The class is A, or the tag is A, and then class equals job title. Now,
sorry, just interrupt for 1 second. Just in case like some of you guys were confused, as in like, okay, where would I have found this entire thing? Well, that's where, just like Faizan was saying, like a basic knowledge of HTML, which you can get soon here, is very helpful, right? Because if you notice, every single time that he wants to find something, right, he puts in the type of HTML element it is, right? So for the raw link, he said description.find A. Well, what is A in HTML? It stands for anchor. And every single time you have an anchor in HTML, it means that there's going to be a link somewhere. So that's where it comes to having like a base knowledge of HTML can help you if you're trying to do web scraping, just like Faizan said.
right. So, okay, when I was doing the code for this meeting, I found out that the link is actually stored within here. Now, this is something that's, I guess, kind of advanced. You guys have to know like how to make that URL into something that actually directs you to the right page. So you guys can just follow along here. Don't worry too much about this part. Job link equals, this is just like string manipulation and just getting the right parts of the string for the URL. So job link find. And if you guys want just like basic Python tutorials, like you guys can stay after the meeting, just talk to me. I can like share some resources with you guys that can really help. So what we want, or something, a big part of web scraping is finding patterns in, for example, like URLs. So you see this Bloomberg software engineering intern. If you look at the URL for it, it's indeed.com/viewjob !JK and then a bunch of numbers and all that. So that's important to know because I need to get this thing out of the way. Just exit this tab, I guess. So that was for Bloomberg. Now for this other company right here, it's the same thing. So indeed.com/viewjob !JK equals. And when I was preparing the code for this meeting, I noticed that if you can see right here, this JK, those symbols or numbers after the JK, that's actually used for the URL. So what I'm doing here is just getting the right part to extract from this href tag to direct you to the right URL. And once again, like this is the pattern I found. So indeed.com/viewjob with the question mark after. So I'm just going to copy this equals, or I need to put it in quotes, plus job link. And then I want to replace the empty space here. So replace that and that. So this should get me the job link, and I can just print it out to show you guys. So print job link. There's no attribute get. Description of job title. So this is actually okay. So right. So now when I open this, you can see this URL takes me straight to the site, the web page in which I can apply right to this internship. So now I have everything I want basically from the web page. I just print everything out for the last time. Title, company, rating, location, summary, job. Right. So now we pretty much have everything we need from this, from the web page. And now let me just include this space right here. Okay, so to recap, what we just did is we went to this URL, just exit this. So to recap what we just did, we went to this URL. So we're looking for software engineering internships, and we just extracted from all the listings the title of the internship, the company, the rating, location, summary, and the internship, and the link to apply. So now that we have all that, big part of like Python itself and just web scraping in general is how to generalize your code. So the problem with this is that I just put in a URL here, and then it got me everything from that one URL. But what I want to do, the way this program is able to work is that, so when I run the program, you can enter any position you want, and then it'll find you job listings for whatever position you want to find. So if I put in like, I don't know, like analyst, intern, it'll find me jobs related to that. So the way you can do that, because this code is specific to like this URL, is by, like, we have the code to do everything we want, but we have to make it work for every URL. And the way we can do that is pretty simple. We just make a function called extract job listings. And then as a parameter, we put in the URL we want to find. And then it's basically just copying the code we already wrote. So just copy this right here. Just make sure this is indented. Just copy this right here. This is the jobs. So what I'm trying to say is that we have all the code to extract the information we want. It's just that we have to make it work for every URL. So just add all that. And now what we see is that what we want to add is because we want to put this information in an Excel file, I'm going to make a variable named rows and set it equal to empty brackets. And what this represents is that it's just a list containing nothing inside it now, but I'm going to be adding elements inside it later on. So actually I need this outside the loop. So I can create this variable here. And then what I can do, this is how I'm going to store the information to put in the Excel file, to rows that append. Now this is just Python code for appending items to a list. Now don't worry too much about this. So all I'm doing is storing the information within the rows variable. So title, company, rating, location, summary, and job link. Now from here, all I have to do is return this rows variable, and you guys will see how this works in a bit. So to pretty much finalize everything, we want the user to enter in a position they're searching for. So I'm going to put in software engineer intern, and then we want to make a variable to represent the data we're going to be putting into the Excel file. So we can just name that CSV rows. And then, so as I was writing the code for this meeting, I noticed that when you search for a position, so you can just do that here, you have to notice how the URL changes when you search for like a different position. So if I do like web engineer intern, oh wow, there's actually no listings for that. So if I do like web developer intern, right? So you guys can see in the URL, it puts the position, so web developer intern, and it has a plus sign in the spaces between the words. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, the way we can, so what we need to do now is insert those plus signs between the words of our what we're looking for. So the way we can do that is pretty simple with Python again. So position equals position replace. We want to replace the empty spaces with a plus sign. So I can just print this out to show you guys what I mean. So whatever word I put in there is going to enter in plus signs wherever there's spaces, and I can use that now to modify URLs. So I can, so like I said, if I'm looking for like a cyber security analyst position, you see how the URL changed based on that. So that's basically what I'm getting at. And from there, all it is just looping through different pages to extract listings from all the different pages here. So if you guys can see, there's 15 listings on one page, and then I go to the second page, it's the same thing. So if you guys notice something, for the URL, there's this section here which represents where to start from, like start equals 20. Now, if I do that, it's going to take me to another page, and then if I do like 60, it's going to take me to another page. Now, the way we can go through all these pages is by creating a loop. So for x in range. Now let's say we want to go through 10 pages of results. We can do it like that. So this means it's going to go from this loop runs 10 times basically, and the way we can see that right here. So let me get rid of this. So this is going to print 0 to 9, right? So it runs 10 times. So if I want to go through 10 pages, I need this loop to run 10 times. So all we have to do from here now is to find the URLs we want to extract the listings from. So we want to start from the first page, obviously, and then go through, for example, like 10 pages. And if you guys can see here, so the second page is start equals 10. Now, if I want to start from the beginning, if I get this start equals, I can set it to 0 and then start from the first page. So that's what I'm going to do. So URL equals, we need to copy this section of the URL, and then we have to add the position we're searching for, plus, now this is kind of dependent on you. Like if you guys want a challenge to do after this meeting is to make it work for all these different like things you can change here. Like if you want a salary estimate of, for example, this, it adds that to the URL. I didn't do that for this meeting, but if you guys want to challenge yourself and add that functionality to the program, you can go ahead and do that. But basically all I did was cybersecurity analyst, and then it's basically, now again, like I said, a lot of this is just trial and error. It took me a while to kind of get everything to work. So after the position in the URL, you guys can see there's this and L equals New York, and then everything else. So I can just copy that.
Be mindful of your time.
Right. There's only like 2 more lines left after this. Okay. So now we have the end section of the URL, but notice how the start is equal to 10. Well, I want to start from the beginning. So what I actually have to do here is, before the loop, I want to create a variable named page to represent the page that we're on, and then add the page number to the end of the URL, which represents which page we're going to be starting from, or which page you're going to be extracting the listings from. So based on that number, like I showed you guys, it's going to start at a different like page. So that's basically it for the URL. And then now all we have to do is call this function right here, which is going to extract all the information we need. So the way we do that, so just job info equals extract job listings, and pass in that URL. And then because I'm kind of running out of time here, I'm just going to be going through the rest of the code. CSV rows and job info. If you guys want to understand like exactly what I'm doing, like what this code means, like you guys can stay behind or just contact me and I'll be happy to share. So each page, the reason why I'm doing this is kind of important. So this page variable is initially 0 because I'm starting at the page 0, and then so I'm starting at 0, and then so this is the first page, right? If I scroll all the way down and go to the second page, start equals 10. So for each page, that number goes up by 10, which is why I'm doing that here. So this also means page equals page plus 10, and that's basically all it is. Now, okay, so this is another error, and this is important to know how to fix because this is pretty common. So type error must be str, not int. So it's telling me the error is on line 10, which is basically this line right here. So I already know what the error is because I've encountered it. Page is currently an int, and I'm trying to append an int to a string, which you can do. So all you have to do to fix this is make page a string, and then it won't give me that error anymore. Now, again, because I've kind of running out of time here, the rest of the code was kind of took me like a lot of time to just like figure out how to do. Is basically just appending all the information to the Excel file, and all you have to do, the code is going to be available to you guys right after this meeting, so if you guys want to check it out, and if you guys have any questions, like feel free to ask. But that's basically it for all the code. Now, if I run this, okay, so save that software engineering intern job listings. So, and you guys can see it just uploaded this Excel file within my folder. It's modified at 3:03 p.m. If I open this up,
We just can't
you guys
see
will see. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay, so this is basically what the code just did. It took all that information and it added it to the Excel file. So from here, I already use this myself to like apply to internships, and it just makes it like pretty simple to use. You know, like you have the summary here, just go through each one of them one by one, take a look at them. It saves you a lot of time. And that's basically it. That's all the code involved. And I hope you guys find great use out of it.